Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Raw Reality Podcast. We are back in your ears with a very special guest this week. We are very excited, I am especially, to have Alexi here with us today.
Lily, not so much.
I'm so very excited. But I was like to Tora, I was like, I don't really know because I don't do Pilates, I don't go to Hustl or anything. So like, you take the lead for this episode and you guys, and I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Yeah,
I'll still come in. I'll come in.
Excited. But just to give you a little bit of an understanding, Alexi is a business owner, mental health advocate and trainer. She was born in Canada and she's been in Australia for 13 years now. She's 32. She's a dog lover and we are so lucky to have her here today and her girls. We've got her content girls, her lifelines, her PAs, everything.
They're in the back. You can't see them, but they're there.
They're there. They're here to support us as a little audience today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. This is like, I've done a lot of recording things, but I've never actually done an official podcast.
I was wondering that.
I have never. So this is cool with like the earphones and things.
It changes the vibe, doesn't it?
It changes the vibe. Also, it's like more personal. So I'm excited. Normally, I mean, we're going to talk about work, but I'm excited. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. Let's just quickly touch on a weekly recap. What does your week look? Well, it's Tuesday. No, it's Monday.
It's Monday.
So how was your weekend?
So how was my weekend? To be honest, my weekend was really relaxing and I honestly did nothing. Yep. It was raining this weekend, so I was
which we kind of love sometimes.
We do. We don't feel guilty about being inside. Being from Canada, it rains all the time, but in Australia, it's sunny all the time. So you feel guilty for not doing anything all the time. Yeah. But this weekend, I just relaxed. I watched a show. I hung out with my dog. I ate wonderful food. I slept probably way too much.
I love that. You slept for me. That's really good.
Yeah. Were you sleep deprived?
Yeah, a little bit.
What were you doing?
Well, I was in Sydney.
Okay.
And so we had late nights, early mornings.
What were you doing in Sydney?
I went for Jackson's game. So I'm pretty much his personal videographer.
Love it.
Yeah. So
all hands on deck.
Yeah, I fly with him.
Who's about to get fired.
Yeah. I missed his goal again this week, but it was just a trial game. So
what were you doing?
I don't know. I just missed the goal. So not sure what happened there. But yeah, I just caught up with my managers and got some content.
Oh yeah, I saw that on your socials. Yeah, that looked really good.
And then I came home Saturday night, which I loved, and I'm so happy I did because I could have Sunday reset.
Yeah, to relax.
So good. Yeah.
We're going to touch more on our weekly recaps.
Yeah, because we'll
Thursday,
talk forever.
And we are doing a double recording this week, so we're like, got to save something for Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is all about you.
Oh!
Yeah. What part of Canada are you from?
I'm from Toronto. Have you been?
I went to Big White last year.
Okay, they're nowhere near each other. Like Toronto is East Coast, very flat, very boring. I can say that because I'm from there. Whereas Big White is like mountains, beautiful, stunning. So
I just love her accent.
I know, same. I love it.
I don't feel like I have. Wait, what did you just say, Lily? American accent.
Sorry.
It's okay, North American. It's fine. You'll be forgiven. I don't feel like I have an accent anymore.
Wow. So you definitely think it's faded a bit since moving here? Like since the 13 years?
Well, like I'm not delusional. I know that I have one, but I can't hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm just used to hearing myself talk, but I know it's very much there.
Yeah, I just love when I wake up and your stories are there and I'm just like, let's listen.
Hello, guys.
Good morning. All right.
Should we get into our quick fire questions first?
Let's go for it.
So we do this every episode with our guests. I'm going to go straight away. So pretty much first easy one. What is your star sign?
Taurus.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm a double Cancer rising, so I'm like literally the most sensitive person you could ever imagine.
Okay, note take.
Well,
no, it's okay. I can take whatever you plan to throw at me.
my ex is a Taurus, so that's interesting.
Ooh, recent?
Yeah, end of last year.
Yeah. End of last year.
Yeah.
Heart's better?
Beg your pardon?
Heart is better? Are we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Taurus, we are difficult. We are.
Yeah.
We're stubborn.
We learned that.
Yeah. We are stubborn. I will say that.
I don't feel like I have any Taurus, like close Taurus people.
I'm kind of like on the...
Well, I do now. No, I do now.
Yeah.
But I didn't before.
It's okay, Tori.
Okay. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Myself in 3 words. I would say I'm authentic. I'm very driven, very hard worker, and I am clever. I'm a clever girl.
I love that.
That's cool. No one said that.
No. You normally like hear the normal like passionate and like all of those things and compassion, but
she is a clever girl.
I love clever. That's a good one.
Amazing.
Girls.
Okay, who's your hall pass?
Okay, this is so funny. So hall pass means when you can
sleep with anyone in the world. It's like you have a partner,
okay,
and then it's like you're allowed to still sleep with someone else. Who would it be?
Famous anyone.
Famous anyone.
Okay, so I can have sex with this person. Yep. And even if I'm in a relationship, yes. I mean, nerd, who doesn't know what a hall pass? I swear we call that something different at home in Canada. Hall pass. It would have been Paul Walker, but that's not possible. Does it have to be
no.
Or Miles Teller?
Why do I know that name? Who's that? Who's he from?
Oh my God. I don't know the movies. Like, what the hell? Just Google him. Okay, gorgeous, okay. Like very like simple looking person, but he was on that Katie Lifeline, the pilot movie. Top Gun. Oh, with his shirt off, the beach scene. Whoa. Miles Teller. He's like also looks very Canadian.
Yeah.
I just like the imperfect look. Like he doesn't look like your normal hot. He looks like you could see him at the grocery store in the bread aisle.
Okay. Okay, amazing. Okay, from hall pass, we're going to favorite food.
Pasta. Yeah. I am also a trainer, so you know that's a bit conflicting. But pasta, I love
we all love
carbohydrates, pasta. Pizza. I'm the most boring eater.
No. Well, I actually learned that this morning. Yeah. But so am I.
Boring. Kids menu, basic.
What did you get for breakfast this morning or brunch?
We just got juices. I haven't eaten today, but if I was going to, I would have just get a salad with chicken.
Girl,
you know what? It's busy lifestyle.
That could not be us. That could not be us.
I would simply pass away.
We like time our food schedule.
But you're about to go in a competition.
Yeah, I am. So
I used to do that life too. Do you have like a little cooler bag?
No, I do. I work from home, so perfect. It's very convenient. Yeah.
How many calories are you on at the moment?
1350 and just under 1500.
And how are you doing?
I'm actually okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'm okay.
You feel, is it a struggle?
It definitely goes up and down. Yeah. Some days I kind of like feel like death. And then other days my energy's there. So like I don't know hour by hour.
When is your competition?
5 weeks.
Oh my God, yeah, congratulations.
So I'm very excited.
Oh, so yeah, you would feel like your energy's going out the window. Yeah,
so social battery, it's like, okay, this is my thing today, and then I will not go home and speak to anyone.
Yeah, we're all just going to drive home staring at it.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, what did you want to be growing up?
This is so funny. I wanted to be in every soul in my body a superstar. I don't care what I was. Okay. I just wanted to be a superstar. Like, I needed to be a superstar. So
you're giving that vibe. I can see that.
I feel like I somewhat got there. I don't know. I chose fitness to be my expression, but I don't feel like a superstar, but I feel like my younger self wouldn't be disappointed.
I love that. And it's also, though, what you're kind of in, people still looking at you, listen to you, you're like the voice of the room, and like it's kind of giving that same dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I would secretly love to be a singer, but you know, you get what you're given and you deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That was great. Thank you so much.
Good one.
All right. So I am just so excited to dive a bit more into your journey. Obviously, I've known you for quite a while now, but I guess we haven't really gone into detail, which we're about to do right now. So can you start us, I guess, with just your journey, where you kind of began? I know you just said you're in fitness, and how did that look like for you going into fitness?
Oh my God. Long story. We'll do bullet points and then we can elaborate on whatever.
She gets it.
Yeah.
So I have always really liked fitness. I've always been quite a fitness girly. I have a twin sister and I have a gay brother. So technically I have two sisters. He was very flamboyant, always very girly. And I was like the tomboy in the family. And I really enjoyed sport. I really was like drawn to athletics, and I started to like fitness at a young age. My first job at a gym was being the cleaner, and so I was cleaning the gym, and then I slowly worked up to sales, and then I was also doing I used to work with kids with disabilities, so I'd also help them in athletics and do like some run coaching and go to events with them, and then I noticed when I moved to Australia that there was this weird like hole in the market, that the classes were so boring. And
so what year did you move to Australia?
Oh my God, don't even ask me. It's been 13 years. Someone count back from then. I'm retracting the clever statement.
What are we?
It's long.
2011. Thank you,
Thank
Katie.
you. But I actually came prior to that because I had like a working holiday visa.
Yeah.
Mom was like, I'm not going to let you go to school. You have to, live your life first, and then you can go to college or university. And like none of her kids came home. That really
you don't really hear that often. Normally parents like straight into college, straight into uni, get a job. And it's like, no, go live your life first.
Yeah.
That's really
I grew
cool.
up really weird, like really strange. You can make that the next question. And then when I came out into Australia again, I was just like doing the normal backpacker thing, like working random jobs, bars, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to get my roots a little bit sorted, and I started to really miss things that I loved about home.
Yep.
And I just tried so much to find places that I would feel motivated and find like a trainer that I felt really inspired by, and I just couldn't find it. And like in North America, like your trainer is your best friend and they're your worst nightmare. Like they know everything about you. They say it how it is. They're like so inspiring. They're like Oprah on steroids. You're just like, yes, tell me what I need to do. And I just wasn't getting that here. So I, did some courses. I studied my Cert 3 and Cert 4, that's how I stayed longer in Australia. The visa process is a long subject. And then I learned to teach bar and Pilates. And like when I was doing the course, I was like, what did I honestly sign up for? I'm not kidding you. I couldn't touch my toes. These girls were like ex-ballerinas. I was like, this is a wrong course. Wrong course. But I did the course, and then I came back to Byron, which is where I was living at the time. And I went to this one girl's class. Her name's Michelle. And she was just like literally took the modality, which is bar and Pilates, and she completely rechanged it. She like taught in her own way, really confident. She kind of, I think in Pilates, there's the breath and the counting, and it's all very clinical. And she kind of really blurred the lines with that. And I was like, wow, this is actually really amazing. And from that point, I was like, you know what, I'm going to teach this exactly how I want to. And I'm going to incorporate the loud music and the dark lights. And that's like what I really want. I want to have what I had back at home. So I I didn't open a studio. I worked at the community hall.
Yes, girl.
In Byron. I rented it out. It cost $35 to rent it out for like a morning. So I had 2 classes. When I taught my first class, I was so nervous. Oh my God. I was like teaching to my friends, like my boyfriend at the time, like really rock bottom here. Yeah. We're just starting from scratch.
Foundation.
Yeah. And then.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
then I rented out the hall. My first class, my sister and my mom came. Just 2 people.
Stop.
I know, bless, how sad. But I was like, okay, whatever. Oh no, I think in one other random girl, Kaylee, who I'm still friends with. And I was like to my sister and my mom, like I have a twin sister. And I was like, Rachel, pretend you don't know me. So like that person would think Rachel is also coming to the class.
Yes.
And then my mom, who like obviously looks like me. And then the next class, it got a little bit bigger. And then the following class, it just really like grew. And I then rented another hall and started teaching more classes. And from that kind of just evolved. And then I had some problems with my visa. So I actually stopped running my side of things and I went to work for another Pilates studio. And again, I guess I just like felt this like need to scream at people.
Yes.
I don't know. I always had like the microphones taken away from me because I was too loud, and like the lights I always had too dark in the studio, and the music was too rap music and it wasn't, simple enough. But my classes were so fucking full. Like no one could get into my classes, even when I was running my own classes full to the brim, like 70 people full.
Wow.
And so I was like, there is a desire for this, just no one's doing it.
Yeah.
And so I worked for that Pilates studio for a while, except there was, you know, like crystals and all of those things, which is great. But like at the time in my life, like I wanted like biggie smalls, like, you know, completely different. So I decided that I was going to open my own studio. And I found a space, and it was really simple. It was like really kind of Los Angeles, like it looked grungy. It was at the really random location up at the top of a tile shop. And I was like, I am going to have this studio. Literally, the walls are going to be black. I am going to limousine tint the windows. I am going to install the best sound system. And when I left the Pilates studio, I announced, like, I think it was a month later that I was going to open my own studio. And I just thought, like, oh, I'm just going to put out like a list. If people are interested, they can put their name on the list. I didn't even like had signed my lease or anything. And when I put the list out for people to sign up, like overnight, I had 280 people put
my God.
their name down on the list. And I was like, what? And then I was like, okay, me being a clever business girl, I was like, how many people can I actually get sign up? So then I was like, I am going to actually put the memberships available without even, the fit out was not even done. The walls had not been painted, nothing.
But it's like you had that vision. You're like, oh, I'm going to make this work.
Also, I listened to one of the podcasts the other day, Diary of a CEO, and he literally explained exactly how you're explaining it. They had like a billionaire on, and he was like, you have to do a wait list first. You have to see the demand, sell everything before you even start, and then you're good to go.
You're good. You open like flying colors. So I had 280 people just put their name on the wait list because they wanted to be in the loop of everything that happened. Then I was like, I'm going to put a membership up. They have no idea what the timetable is like. They don't even know where the studio is. Nothing. 120 people. What my desired amount of people to sign up on a subscription base was 70 people. And so I opened my studio at capacity, which is just like not heard of, especially not in the Pilates industry. And so when I opened the studio at capacity, there was a wait list. And when anyone canceled, then someone instantly came back in. So I all of a sudden had this studio that was so different and like so loud and so, I felt really empowering and very grungy. And I just had all of these people just like really wanting to experience what it was about. And since then, everything's kind of been a snowballing effect from that. But it is really just sticking to what I always wanted and what I envisioned, like holding myself in, which is a studio that really represents myself. And then two, like really following how I want to instruct the classes from doing that class with Michelle.
Yeah, and it's just like, you knew what you wanted and you obviously weren't going to stop until you got it. But it's even like when you went back, when you had the visa issues to go and teach, it's like you were teaching for someone else and you knew that wasn't coming from you.
100%.
Like it was hard for you to teach it the way that they've created their studio.
100%, yeah. And I think sometimes when you have a recourse in life, or like with my visa, I was like, why is this happening? Like my business is booming right now and now I have to go work for someone else. It like made that more prominent in me that I don't want to be teaching in a studio like this. Like I want to have my own. Whereas I think if I didn't have the visa problems, I probably would have just been cruising and keep working at the community hall.
Was it called Hustl back then as well?
Yeah.
So how did you go from having the one in Byron to the one in now Gold Coast too?
Well, we had a heart attack. So the business was doing very well. And then all of a sudden, our best mate, COVID happened. So I am a very strong believer in simple is better. I have always been very cautious with my business strategies and how I grow my business, and I am very calculated with my decisions. And I was able to open another studio quite quickly after I opened the Byron studio. But I wanted to figure out how, one, the studio worked, how I was making profit, what classes were most profitable, all of these kinds of things. And when I felt like I had a good idea of how the business was running and how I could replicate it to be successful in another location, I was like, let's look for this. So I found a place in Nobby's, which is where the Gold Coast studio is now. And I think it was the week after I signed the lease, COVID happened. And I was in Byron, and my new studio was on the Gold Coast. And then there was the border lockdown. So I couldn't get, it was so stressful. I couldn't get to the Gold Coast studio. I couldn't get to my new studio. And I had to close my Byron studio down. So I kid you not, the day I was told I had to close the Byron studio, I had to go to my landlord, not of the studio, of my house. I had to say, I need to move out, because no subsidizing or anything like that was made available yet. We didn't know what was going to happen. And I had to go to my landlord and say, I'm so sorry, I need to move out. I planned to move into my boyfriend's house at the time. And I kid you not, I started cleaning houses on Wategos the day after. Yeah. I have a video of me like hospital corner fold on someone's bed, because I was like, I need to pay the rent of these studios. Like, I can't lose these.
Wow.
And then, so basically the evolution of the Gold Coast studio was difficult. My builder that built the Byron studio, I had to pay for accommodation for him to move up to the Gold Coast studio. He was like doing paint swabs and things through FaceTime. We painted the studio the wrong color. Believe me, there's so many shades of black. You wouldn't even know. The wrong color, blah, blah, blah. But to my like, again, I don't know. I feel always so lucky for these things to happen. Again, the studio opened full because there was so much talk about it on Instagram and socials and everything. And then all of a sudden it was like, we're open, and everything was closed for so long. And then when it was able to open, everyone was like, oh my God, let me in.
And it's almost like during that time too, people took for granted classes like that, or just movement
and
in
social
general.
Interaction too.
Yeah. So to have then a brand new studio with all the vibes, it's like, get me in.
Yeah. Like, let me get into this door. So that is how the Gold Coast studio evolved.
Wow. I didn't know that. I love that. How, so obviously since moving to Australia, I was going to say Canada, from Canada to Australia, how have you gone, I guess, with like family and relationships, navigating all of that? But then is your family still in Canada?
No, actually my brother and sister are here, and mum's trying to come out.
Okay. Yeah. So how have you gone with all of that?
So I will be completely honest. It is really hard. I have different interpersonal skills, and I'm a very affectionate, very personable person. And in North America, that's very normal. Like your girlfriends tell you all the time that they love you, you know, you're holding hands, you're very affectionate and very close to your friends. And you also take no bullshit. Like if your friend's doing something that you don't feel is in best interest to them, you really say it, and you really like are there as their supporter, their support, like advocate, and also kind of to hold them accountable.
That's what I feel like is not that anything's wrong with Australia, but we're very like people pleasing, but then we'll go do something behind someone's back, where I feel like overseas everyone's straight to the point, and everyone can also be happier because of that, because you kind of cut the bullshit straight away. Here we're very like, oh, okay, I'll go make that person happy, but then I'll say something different to this person. So that's really interesting.
I definitely felt that in school. Like, like our friendship is like the closest thing to like just being straight up. Like we don't have any bullshit.
Even like
and
with
it's
Riley and Taylor, like in terms of affection, I don't have that level of affection with any other friends either.
Yeah, like we're just so, we don't take bullshit. Whereas at school it was like,
it's a different, there's different, even you see it like on reality TV shows. Like look at all the reality TV shows in North America. Like if someone has a problem, they're very confrontational. They really talk about it, and then they're fine. And so like to come into a completely different atmosphere and a completely different climate of like social interactions at an age, I was 18, so I had already really found my foundations, and I already really knew who I was. It was strange. And you know, I've been here 13 years, and it's so funny, like my closest friends aren't Australian. I love like Italians, Germans, like really that spicy, outspoken personality. And it is hard. Like you miss your family, you miss your people, you feel this like ungroundedness that you can't really explain. I love Australia and I would never go back, but as you get older and you realize like people and family are the most important things in your life, there's definitely hard sides to it for sure.
I could imagine. You mentioned before, and you don't have to go into this if you don't want to, but you mentioned before ex-partner.
Heart's fallen. Yeah. I thought that we like might talk about this today or not. And I didn't. I mean, I have not spoken about it at all. And I think that's really weird. Like, my whole community and how I started my whole business is being like really vulnerable and like open and like talking about things and being really unhinged about things and outlandish. And
I think that's like, as soon as I found your socials, like you're just like a warm hug.
Oh, thank you.
Like, you just know that you go, like when I met you in person, I'm like, that's exactly what I see on socials. And I get that a lot, which I think is just like, it's not out there enough that who you see on socials is who you get in real life. And I think,
that's good. So I'm happy the craziest translating through the screen. But I guess like it's weird because I haven't spoken about it and I'm normally like so talkative and I have literally just, it's like crickets are chirping. But I guess like I haven't spoken about it because I'm really still going through it. And I think everyone is waiting for me to have this like Taylor Swift moment where I'm just like, this is what happened. And like, we won't do that here.
It's also so hard because you also want to be so vulnerable, but you also got to respect the other person and their privacy.
Totally.
And that is the hardest thing.
100%.
Like I had someone message me, like, can you please give me the full rundown? I was like, I mean, like I would, but I can't.
But
like,
I can't. Yeah. And like also I feel like that doesn't feel good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when you do have a social audience. Like, what are you using it for? Are you using it to put someone in a bad light? No, it doesn't feel good. So, I mean, there's lots of reasons I haven't spoken about it. One, I was in a relationship with another person and talking about it involves them and I don't want to ever put someone in a bad light. Two, I was a stepmom and that person is also someone's daddy and I don't want to put it in a negative context. And also, to be honest, I'm just like humiliated and embarrassed. And like, I'm disappointed in myself in like going through a process I think that I never thought I would have to go through, or involving myself in a relationship that I thought it was and it wasn't, and loving someone that I thought I really understood and I didn't. Like, I feel there's a lot of shame in that. And I'm just trying to navigate through it. And I think like when someone really hurts you and you feel, betrayed, or there's been things that have been done that have never happened to you before, I think there's a lot of power in, not trying to fixate on why this person behaved this way. Like, you will not be able to understand someone's actions if they are negative, if they were hurtful, if they cause betrayal, if they cause distrust. You sometimes won't be able to understand them because that behavior doesn't resonate with you. It doesn't align with you.
Sounds like another story that I know. Interesting.
And so there's no point like fixating and trying to psychoanalyze why this person's behaved this way and why they treated you this way. You won't be able to, because you don't align with that. And congratulations. If you do, go book the therapy appointment. If you don't, way to go. You don't align with that. That doesn't feel good in you. You literally left, you're like confused, like, whoa, what just happened? And I think for me, I very much have separated the lesson from the story. And I think that is when the true learning really happens. And I don't want to talk about the relationship anymore because like it's so fucking irrelevant. It's happened. It's done its thing. Thanks for the lessons. I'm going to go do my homework now, and here we go.
I think that's such an important message to a lot of the girls listening is, I think as like girls as well, we get so compassionate towards other people and we constantly try to fix. At the end of the day, you've also got to help yourself, and Biano trying to fix and put all your energy into someone else isn't going to do absolutely anything when you, like you said, it actually doesn't align to you. So why are you still putting your energy in something that truly doesn't matter anymore when you can just focus on you, yourself, and your business?
100%. And I think like it's really important to remember like how someone treats you, whether it's your relationship, your boss, anything like that, has literally nothing to do with you. The only thing that has to do with you is what did that bring up in you? How did their actions, how did their behavior make you feel? That's your bullshit. You go sit in that. How they treated you, it doesn't matter. That is them. That is their behavior. You can't do anything about that. You can't be held accountable for that. You can't sit there and just wonder. It doesn't matter. Focus on what it brought up. Be grateful for the triggers. Learn the lessons. Close the curtains. Rehearsal is done.
I love
your analogy. Yeah, wow. Well, you're just a powerhouse, and I just
I'm not!
Yes, you are. But I love the way that you've put that, and I think, with you going through your breakup last year, there's been a lot of questions around the relationships and breakups and stuff like that. Is there any advice you would give someone who may be in a similar situation or who's just come out of a long-term relationship in terms of, I guess, moving forward and, putting that to bed, I guess?
Oh my God, what camera is like looking directly at someone?
That one right there.
Oh my God. If I could hold you, I would hold you so tight. It is the worst thing. Heartbreak is the worst thing. I've never gone through such a bad heartbreak. To be honest, I never had sympathy until this heartbreak. The only way to get through it is to sit in it. You need to just sit in it. You need to cry like a psycho. You need to just feel all the emotions. Go into your toxic girl era. Let all of it come up. Do not judge yourself. Do the healing. Otherwise, it's going to repeat itself. And slow down. There is no correct time to recover. The longer you take to just sit with yourself and be with it, the stronger you will get. Slow down. Be with it. Sit in it. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I love you.
Oh, you're going to make me cry.
That was such a good message.
I love that. Well, okay. There's nothing else that needs to be said about that.
Done. Period. Moving on.
Wow. I really, really, really want to touch on mental health. I know you're a big mental health advocate, and I think, I'm not even sure when and how I came across your page, but I remember that being a big part and something that I related to so much. Would you mind, I guess, touching on that and where, I guess, your journey began within that and kind of how you've navigated it?
Okay, love it.
Strap in.
Love to share a little bit of my psycho. So I grew up really weird, and I grew up on a piece of land with no electricity. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I was grew up very raw. And while everyone else was, on MSN, I was doing a meditation intensive. I grew up very different. And so I've always been really in touch with my emotions from a very young age. And I've always, when I was younger, I literally hated my mom for this. And now I feel so grateful to have these coping skills. But before mental illness was, and I hate to say it's a trending thing, and I don't mean a trending as in people are only talking about it because it seems cool. I think it is a trending thing and people are feeling more able to talk about it because more people are talking about it.
Yes.
So before it was a common thing to speak about, I decided that I was going to be completely vulnerable and talk about my struggles with anxiety on a blog.
Yes. Yeah, the blog.
And I have always really loved writing. I love writing and I love, depth through words and these kinds of things. And I had, and I still do struggle with anxiety, but I had a really bad run with anxiety. And I was self-inflicting pain on myself and, very suicidal. And it was just constant. And I guess because I grew up in a way that I wasn't ashamed to share my emotions. That was never something that I was brought up to feel ashamed of. It came very natural to write about. And the blog, now that I think about this, I'm whoa. I was took all this really beautiful imagery of literally me naked. I think I was 20 or something. This was what, 13 years ago. And I was so raw on this blog, so vulnerable, so raw. I wrote about how I hated feeling this way, how I would hurt myself, all of these things. And it started to become a diary for me. The response that I got was absolutely insane. I have never, and that's when I started realizing whoa, there's a lot of power on social media.
Yeah.
And the response that I got was so overwhelming. I was not expecting that at all. And the heaviness, when you speak about a heaviness within you, it attracts someone to be open about the heaviness within them, which is amazing. But when you are also still figuring out how you are navigating through your own stuff, it's a lot. And so I kept writing on the blog and I kept sharing about things. And then I realized it's too much. Like, I can't deal with these suicidal people when I am not even feeling stable myself.
It's a lot to hold, yes.
A lot to
when
hold.
You're also going through it.
Yeah. And I'm so empathetic and like I just like can feel people's energy and it was just too much. And then I was like, but I loved that way that I was connecting with people. So then I was like, what can I do that is more superficial and less overwhelming to interact with people, but I can still bring in the mental health side of things. And that was when I decided to combine health and fitness together.
Yeah.
So before I started Hustl, I actually had something called the Bare Balance. So weird. And that was like what my classes were called in the studios, like the community halls. So basically it was, you know, balancing the struggle between being vulnerable and being strong. So when I would do the classes with the girls, I was always very open. Like this morning I woke up and like I feel like I'm literally going to have a heart attack. I can't breathe, all of these things. Like I've always been very transparent. And then, you know, the girls started talking about they're crazy too. And then guess what? You're not crazy anymore. Like you're in a room, you're all normal. Your heart is about to come out of your chest. You haven't been able to get out of your bed because you have chronic fatigue. And little miss over here hasn't eaten in 7 days. The only one that's crazy in the room is the girl that's not speaking up. So it became really empowering. And then I started to do all of these little circles where I used to talk to people and do manifesting workshops, and it just evolved from there.
She's a woman of many talents.
Wow, there is so much intertwining.
Clever, girls. Clever. Maybe not with math.
No, we don't need math. I think it's so important, and something that I've kind of been speaking to and struggling with is like, I'm also vulnerable, open, literally about anything. But as I've been getting more into launching a new business and getting into that side of things, I've found it hard to open up about the struggles in business because it makes you feel like you're less than or you're not capable. But it's like, fuck, like everyone has their struggles. And it's the same whether it's like today I'm feeling anxious or today I didn't make the $200 I thought I would. Nothing takes away from each of them, but it's about opening up to make others feel like, you know, they're not alone and their struggles are valid as well.
100%.
And it's just so powerful.
I think that, sorry, Lily, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I feel like I'm almost like, kind of goes like 1, 2, 3, because I'm on the side of like, I don't open up on my social media very much. And not from a standpoint of like, I don't feel like I can. Sometimes I'm like, I can't word how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at that. And then equally, I'm like, okay, if I say X, Y, Z, people like you said, are going to think less of me, or my clients come to me that day, they're going to be like, oh, well, she's had a shit day. Why am I going to open up to her? And then equally with bodybuilding too, it's like, if I be like, oh my gosh, this is really hard, well, then people will view it in a way it's like, okay, why are you doing it then? So it's like really hard to find that line. So I love that you were like, no, you can be strong and you can be vulnerable, and it is hard.
Even with your clients, just quickly, like I think you would find if you were to open up more, they would then feel like they could open up more to you because they'd be like, oh, she gets it.
And every time I do, every single client's like, oh my gosh, thank you for speaking about this today, because I didn't realize that I wasn't the only one of people who are like aspiring to like compete and stuff also feel the same way as I'm feeling now. But I think I also get caught up in the way of like, no, I'm stronger than my thoughts. So then I put on a facade. I'm like, that's not actually how I'm feeling. Push it to the side. This is who you should be and this is who you want to be. So act like that.
Yeah.
So it's just so many moving parts to it.
It's definitely challenging. I think you both have large followings and, you know, there is like that pullback when you're like, I'm trying to show that I am the successful businesswoman and I'm trying to motivate people from that aspect of my life, but I'm also trying to figure out what the fuck I am doing. It's like a catch-22.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to remember in every phase of your life, you have a currency. And like, is your currency at that time being really vulnerable about your business, or is it being really open about your health? Like, you can't do it all well. So choose something that feels good. Like, sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes people don't get recharged by opening up about things because they like to sit with that. And that's fine. Like, that's just not your currency.
Yeah.
And I think like there's so much pressure right now in the social media. Like, I need to be vulnerable and I need to talk about this and that. You don't. Like, if it doesn't feel good,
it's like if
don't.
you're forcing it, then you won't actually get the attraction that you want back from that because it's not authentic for you.
It's not your currency. Like, maybe motivating or like teaching discipline, or there's so many other ways that you can inspire and connect to people. Vulnerability, I think, is something, again, trending at the moment that more people are doing, so they feel, but it doesn't feel good for you, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not your currency. Like, there's 1,000 other things.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm just like taking all the information and I love it. Going a bit into your fitness journey, how has that looked like for you combining, I guess, you know, mental health, whether it's been gym, Pilates, I know it's not cardio because it's not anymore anyway. But yeah, what has that looked like for you along your journey?
So, did you say something?
No.
Oh, that was me. Oh. Fitness has always been like a really important part of my life. If you struggle with mental illness, it'll be the first thing. Well, back then, it used to be the first thing that your doctors would recommend. You even had like a fitness plan in Canada. So they would like put you on a fitness plan. Like you would be told to go for a walk. I mean, now it's just the first thing is medication, which is not wrong. I am on plenty. But so I did a lot of different things. That was kind of my coping mechanism. And it was also very much my identity for a large portion of my life. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of, I kind of dabbled in a lot of different things, Pilates, running, swimming, everything. And I will call myself out a little bit on this. I'm not like a crazy, amazing athlete. I'm not a instructor that has amazing form or who is incredibly strong. I'm just really relatable.
Yeah.
And I think that is really inspiring to people and also really motivating to clients. Because they're like, oh, she doesn't look perfect doing that squat, so I'm not going to judge myself so much. And I'm so happy being the awkward person in that space.
Oh, but she'll make you fucking burn, let me tell you.
And so I've always just, you know, kind of bounced in and out of things. I've tried to do a competition before. I've tried to do a marathon before. I've tried to do a whole bunch of different things. But the growth of my fitness journey came into business. I love business, like love it. And I really saw the possibility of connecting with people. I saw the way to make money. I saw the opportunity of my business running self-sufficient. I just literally was just like, this is probably one of the most impactful, biggest industries that I could invest myself in. And that has not proven me wrong since day dot.
That's cool because I feel like some people think you have to run a half marathon, or if you're a runner, you have to do a half marathon. If you love the gym, you have to compete. If you do Pilates, you've got to be the most flexible person. Yeah. But you can literally, like you said, dabble in everything and be just good at everything, and that's all you need to be. And then also you love the business side, and then other people love the family side and want to be a mum. So you can literally do whatever without the pressure or expectation of anything 100%.
Else. 100%. There's like this I hate when people are like, I can't be a trainer because I don't have a six pack. Babe, I can't touch my toes. Like, it's fine. You don't have to have all of these things to be a trainer. The way you look is not your resume. Yep. You are more than capable of doing anything as long as you have a genuine interest in it and as long as you actually care for the product or the service that you're going to push out there.
Yeah. What does your training look like at the moment?
Oh, I don't do it. I've gone into this phase where, like, I no longer care to be motivational or inspirational. I just want to be relatable. Like, I've done the yards. Let me put my feet up. Yeah, let me put my feet up. I obviously train for online. I train for Centr. I need to keep, like, a base level of fitness. But training so much for, like, the last, I don't know, would it be 8-9 years of my life, all the time, you kind of do have, like, this baseline of fitness that you never go below, and I know how to sustain that. And when I do have like a filming stint with Centr or I have a filming stint with Hustl, then my split is normally Pilates and then strength. So I'll normally incorporate the two. A lot of it is body weight, and I will incorporate weights if I know that's coming up in something I need to film, but a lot of it is body weight, not a lot of cardio. And I can't hear myself.
It must be the cord or something.
Yeah.
Can you girls hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Just kidding, team. Okay, yeah. So a lot of it.
Wait, can you hear now?
No.
Okay. Should we just keep going? Because we can hear you.
Is that okay?
Okay, yeah. So a lot of it is body weight stuff. I love body weight stuff. I'm not flexible. I'm not a yogi. I'm not, doing everything perfectly. I just like to move.
Yeah. I feel like I'm finding that spot right now where it's like maintaining the fitness, knowing not like where not to go below, where to push, but in just enjoying the ride.
It feels good when you get there.
Yeah, it really
it's like
does.
Your YouTube video you just posted, I loved it because it was like so many different things. Like a week of training, it was like you did Pilates and then you walked and then you didn't train one day and then you went to the gym and lifted freaking heavy ass weight and like you can just you get to do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Centr Fit.
Oh my God, did that come up in the microphone?
Did you burp?
No.
Don't
If
worry.
you didn't hear it. Centr, yeah.
So
No,
it's like Chris Hemsworth trainer or something.
Chris Hemsworth. Have you guys ever seen him in real life?
No.
Wait, doesn't he live in Byron?
Yeah, so that kind of evolved through COVID as well.
Yeah.
Byron's small town.
Yeah.
I'm friends with Zaki Luke, who is now like my training partner. He's just honestly the best. And he messaged me during COVID saying like, hey, Chris wants you on your platform or his platform. And I was like, no, this is a spam. You are having a laugh. Like, I'm sorry, I am scrubbing toilets right now in Watergoes, folding these bed sheets. Like, I don't need this false hope. And then it actually happened. And I was really excited because the online space, like, I was new to. I was like, you want me to be on your platform?
So what is Centr?
So Centr is basically a platform based off of Chris Hemsworth's training.
Yeah.
So all of his trainers will create programs based on how he trains.
Right.
Obviously, I am a highlight trainer, so high intensity, low impact, and mostly body weight. So any like recovery based things that he needs to do, he can stick with some of my programs. A lot of the lifting and things though, and the boys things, he sticks to those programs.
Right.
So it's like he has all these little professionals that he works with. We get to brainstorm different programs and put them live on the app. And he is
so cool.
Really like, you wouldn't think it because he has such a big status in the industry and all of these things, but he's honestly just the most wonderful person. Like he's so genuine, has the deepest voice you've ever heard in your life. And he's just so so calm.
Yeah, like
I
real
get
down
that
to
vibe.
earth.
Yeah, very down to earth, like really present, really grateful. He just seems so normal that sometimes you're like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening? So it's been good. I'm really grateful for Centr. That's been one of my biggest achievements thus far.
That's amazing.
So did you know anyone who worked for Centr beforehand?
No.
It just came to you that day.
Because I started to do classes on like Instagram and things. And then obviously Zaki saw them and, showed Chris them. And then they were like, yeah, let's get her on. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even do a push-up. And then, during COVID, like we had so much filming, but we all had to isolate. So I didn't actually get to meet Chris for quite some time because, we're not going to get each other COVID.
Yeah.
And then when I did meet him, I was like so overwhelmed and I wasn't because I had been on the platform for quite some time. So, yeah.
That's such a cool story.
Yeah, that is cool. So obviously going from teaching in the community hall to then starting Hustl, going on Centr, at what point did you lead into Hustl online?
Oh God, this is a good story. So
it's all a good story.
I'm loving all the stories.
So also, girls, it's so hot in here.
I know.
What is that?
I'm sweating.
Do I have rosy cheeks?
Nah, you're good.
You look amazing.
It's hot though.
Oh my God. Okay, Tori, why are you taking those off? Oh, she's gonna fix the. Okay. So, what was the question? How did Hustl Online start? Okay, so. Basically, I had to close the studio down. I thought I had to live in the studio at one point, but I didn't. And then I was, that's good. I can feel that. Wow. Was the heat on, Tori?
No, just wasn't enough.
Hello, Australia summer. I thought I had to close the studio. Well, I did close the studio. I thought I had to live in the studio. And then I missed exercise, especially like going through one of the most stressful, emotional times of my life, like having to close the studio. I had just signed a lease on a new studio and I was just like, how am I going to get through this? I was like, I'm just going to film workouts. Yeah. I'm just going to go into my studio and I'm going to film my workout on a live. And if people want to do it, great. If they don't want to do it, it's fine. Yep. It's literally there. So first class, I think there was like 20 people. Next class, maybe 300. Then it was like, honestly, I kid you not, from like 20 to 800 people. Then, clever. I was like, okay, if people want to do these, I'm going to open up a donation. I am now busking on Instagram.
Clever.
And I was like, you can donate whatever you want. I'm going to be doing classes for 7 days a week. Every morning, I do it anyways. I'm going to film it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you were doing them anyway. So film them.
Exactly. Purpose, strategy,
Clever girl.
and then the donations. I was like, oh my God, people just care. They honestly just want to see me die. Like I don't even think half the people were doing the classes. What they were doing on the dark web, I don't know. And I opened up donations. When I tell you, I was just making so much money. The cleaning the houses stopped. Wow. That was no more. I was living off of the donations, and I was like, I'm going to start a platform.
Well, it's almost like, again, clever girl, to open donations, because you're seeing what people are willing to pay. Like, it gives you a ballpark kind of price of what you could then charge your memberships.
100%. Figure out the price before you create the product. And then... So donations were coming through like wild. I was doing the classes, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to create a channel, and I'm actually going to employ other teachers who I know don't have jobs right now to teach live classes. Yep. And then that capitalized on the donations, because I couldn't obviously teach every 5 minutes, but I could start getting more people to teach. Yep. So we started to have mind setting, lives. We started to have manifestation, and it was free. You could donate if you wanted to, but it was
that's cool.
Instagram Live. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice. Like, I felt really empowered that I was able to connect to so many people during that time, physically and both mentally, because we had a lot of guest speakers on the live. We had a lot of trainers, and it was just like a routine that we created, myself and my instructors, that people didn't have during that time.
Yeah.
And then the wheels started ticking, and I was like, I'm going to start online. I'm going to start filming online. And I mean, COVID, you have all the time in the world. Mm-hmm. So with the donations, I bought myself a really good camera, and I pretty much just lit my keyboard on fire.
So did you how did you go about making an app? Like, it's like, how do you start?
Okay, the app that happened, that was when I first started, it was no app.
Right.
Yeah. That's been like the evolution of Hustl. But when I first started, oh God, it was very much just like I set up a camera, I pressed play, it filmed, I downloaded it, and then I uploaded it on to a platform.
Right.
And I pre-filmed a whole bunch of classes, and I said to myself, I intuitively know out of, I don't know how, I think over the course of COVID, I gained 10,000 emails of people that were doing my live classes. And I was like, I already know that's a client base that is interested in what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I already know it's a client base that enjoys me as a person and thinks what I am offering is a value. So I was like, I intuitively feel like if I do this properly, I will have at least 2,000 people sign up. Mm-hmm. I was really nervous. I didn't have money. I was making the donations. I put all the donations into the online. I was like, became a tech nerd. I didn't even know how to get into my Instagram this morning. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. The hard drives, the camera, everything. And the day I released the platform, I decided I only wanted it to be $5 per week. Everyone was like, don't do that. That's so cheap, blah, blah, blah. But again, like, yes, I want to make money, but I also care. Mm-hmm. Like, the more people I get to train with and the more people I get to interact with, that is more value to me than having hundreds of thousands of people. Yep. And so when I made it live, I got 1,989 subscribers. Wow. And I was just like, oh, what? And then that is how that evolved as well. And then I was doing Hustl, but then the studio had to open.
Yep.
And then I was like filming, teaching, and your girl had a breakdown.
It all hit her at once.
But that's how that evolved.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Wow. How have you gone, since what was the beginning stages like from having like online going boom to then kind of COVID settling down and you opening up the studio? You mentioned the breakdown. How did you navigate that? And then I guess getting trainers on board and then your time to step away and kind of oversee everything?
So I've always really created Hustl based off of a very strong identity and like brand ethos. And I think I've always really pushed that with the hope that the brand one day can be very self-sufficient. And, having the Byron studio, the girls were most used to having me there. So like they really loved my classes. But the benefit of COVID and the silver lining is that studio opened and I actually wasn't able to teach. So all of a sudden I have a studio and none of the clients know me because I actually can't get there. I needed to have a pass or these kinds of things. So the Gold Coast studio was running by itself. And I would go up, you know, make sure the toilet paper is stocked, you know, watch some of the teachers' classes, but it was doing its thing.
Yeah.
And then the Byron studio was like my haven. Like I just loved that studio. I loved being able to interact with the girls, physically teach them, see them in person, have that energy exchange. But then when I started online, it just all became way too much. That like energetic attachment that you have with, you know, 30 people in a class times 5 a day. And then, you know, the online had grown up to 5,000. Like you are being pulled in every which direction. So I started to think, okay, where, from a business mindset, where am I noticing more impact?
Yeah.
And obviously that's online. I am doing a class and I can see, you know, 1,000 people have done that. And I'm in a studio and I'm teaching a class and only 30 people have done it.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided I can't do it all. And that's when I closed the Byron studio.
Yeah.
And then online pretty much, you know, replaced that. And I feel so grateful to like have had that opportunity to not be financially reliable on Byron because the online was doing so well. And I'm so grateful that online felt more impactful. Like I felt like I was able to interact with more people and it felt more fulfilling than when I was just in a room with like 30 people.
Yeah.
What was your decision to close Byron and not get that self-sufficient like Gold Coast?
This is an unpopular opinion, but I feel like there's this weird a trend at the moment that the more successful you are, the more it seems you need to work. But like that is not normal. I come from like a belief, the more successful you are, the more you're able to let things go.
Yeah.
Like as much as I love having a brick and mortar space, like if I don't need it and it's not, you know, it's sure it's going to make money and all of these things. But if I know from a business side that whatever, you know, even if it's an hour a week I put into that studio, if I was to put it into the online, it would quadruple my impact. Then there's not really a point holding on to it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people in my space, there's like this ego pursuit of I'm doing this and I have all of this and that's how successful I am. Actually, I think you're successful if you're sitting on your couch, it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon and you're having a tea.
Yeah.
Like that to me is inspiring. Like how are you still doing all of this, but then you let go of like a side of your business and all of a sudden you don't need it anymore? Like what's going on?
That's a very good perspective.
Yeah.
I love
so
that.
that was really sad to let the Byron studio go. That's like literally what started it all. I love everyone that created that journey for me. That was like the moment, the chapter.
Yeah.
What a journey.
Thank you.
An amazing journey. And even like so many quote unquote setbacks, but like life happened for you.
Yes.
Whether it was COVID or
Georgie Stevenson.
Yeah, literally. The setbacks, you know, the visa, literally everything. So just even your perspective on that is super inspiring as well. What would you say has been, I want to take it both ways, like your 1 to 3 biggest challenges through business, and then like maybe 1 or 2 like your biggest mistakes?
3 challenges, 1 or 2 mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 challenges. I think one of the challenges that I have and I always have had is this like constant point of comparison, especially in the female entrepreneurial space.
Yeah.
Us females, we fucking talk about what we are doing all the time, and it is a way of feeling significant and enough, but it causes a lot of like point of comparison, and I'm not good enough, and oh my God, she's doing that, and I'm not doing that. And that has been that is a challenge for me. It is a challenge. And I think the more you realize like what do you really want, the less that becomes a point of comparison, and it just becomes like, oh wow, that's really cool. Yeah. But I don't want to do that. Or, oh my God, that is really cool that she's doing that. Like that is what I want to do. What is she doing? How can I learn from that? But being able to see everyone's journey almost makes yours seem insignificant. And I think that's a big thing that I have you know, being a female entrepreneur and then also in the fitness industry. Like us girls, we like to brag about everything. I got to the gym at 5:30 and coffee by 7.
That is me.
Yeah. Second would be really trusting and believing in my knowledge in business and believing in what I know about how to run a business and that I actually have skills that I don't really think I have, but you just kind of fake it until you make it is another challenging thing. I think when you start a business, you have to wear every single hat. And then when you start to acquire a team, you all of a sudden have to be really vulnerable and be like, I'm actually hiring you in this role because I don't know what I'm doing. Thank you so much, Katie and Tia. And that's really hard. It's really hard to grow a business that's deemed successful and then actually admit to people that you hire that, oh my God, I actually don't know what I'm doing and I really need your help. And I'm actually incredibly stupid at this part of the business. Like that's challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
And then another challenge would be staying true to myself in a public setting. And that is one of the biggest things that I'm sitting with right now is, yes, I have been like very entertaining person and I've said really outlandish things as my career evolved and but I'm also evolving as a person and like my character is changing a little bit and I'm becoming a bit more reserved. I am actually like really awkward and nerdy kind of introverted person and I'm coming more into that and you have to kind of align that with your audience. That is a weird thing to do when everyone thinks that they know you because it is hard to change in that space. Like really, I would just like to live on a farm and just completely disconnect. And it's weird when that wasn't my reality for so many years.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
That is a good point because I feel like through life as well, you change as a person, but then social media expects you to be one way 24/7. And it's like, okay, yeah, I did like that opinion or I had that opinion last year or I liked this way of doing it. I don't like that anymore.
And it's scary, right? Like you're like, oh my God, but I don't want to actually talk about this anymore. And are these people still going to like me?
Yeah.
Well, that's like even, I'm just going to use Sarah's day as an example.
Yes.
Like her whole journey was fitness, ebooks and all that. And then transitioning to be a mum, she was like, my life is being a mum now. And
Literally.
if you don't like that, then see ya.
That's
that's where my life is going and you just have to follow.
That literally summarizes. And it's hard when you have thousands of people watching you and you think, oh my God, I'm getting all this recognition because I was that one person. It's really hard to become a different person, but you can't stop yourself. You need to evolve. You need to grow. You need to, mature and really come into tune with what you want. But it's hard when you have all of these people watching you.
Yeah.
Like all we want to do is be liked.
Yeah. Well, even like my skin, like one day it will clear up and I just won't have to.
Today?
I know. It's glowing. One day. Like we're weak.
Yeah, but like one day I just won't. Like I'll still talk about it, but it's like one day I won't because I will have cleared it because I'm a clever girl.
Yes, we were playing. I am clever.
Amazing. Your mistakes.
My mistakes.
Or your top one that comes to mind, maybe.
Top one. I've had some really like big learning experiences in the business world when it comes to relationships and staff. I am like overly, again, back to my relationship skills from Canada. I'm so loving and trusting and really, involved with my staff's lives and things. And it's hard when you are a boss and you have to hold yourself to one level, but then you work in a female industry and you care about mental health and you can feel that someone's struggling, but you can't cross that boundary. That is so hard for me. And I have made mistakes through that. I have, unfortunately in the past lost a really good friend because the lines got completely blurred and they weren't sure where they stood in the business and the friendship. And I think now I really realize that business is one thing and the way you support someone and care for them is another. And so any bosses out there, you cannot be a best friend and an employer. I just got to say it. That's the truth.
I agree with that.
Interesting. Yeah. Stunning. Well, I have two more questions for you. But what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, what would I tell I would honestly tell my younger self to just calm down, sis. Like, there's no rush. Just I feel like when I was younger, I was like in such a rush to like prove myself to the world and, you know, show that I'm doing this and show that I'm doing that. Like, just, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, if that's giving you fulfillment and that's making you feel good, great. But if it's making you feel anxious and insignificant, just calm down. Like, just sit with yourself for a minute. You're not going to know who you are. That is going to happen one day, and then the next day you're going to be confused again. Like, just calm down. You are amazing in how you are. Feel uncomfortable not knowing what you're doing. Allow yourself to be lazy. Allow yourself to be awkward. You do not need to be a superstar overnight. Just, honestly, Alexandra, calm down.
I feel
I'm
like
really living, like, kind of taking that on board as much as possible at the moment, because I look at where 3 years ago things were stressing me out so much. It's so insignificant now. Like, I just botched that word, but like
we all heard
doesn't even
it
matter now. And that's like things that are stressing me now, I know aren't going to matter next year. So it's like, really just chill out. It's basically bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you just said that to me. That's how I'm feeling at the moment.
Calm down,
like,
Tori. I see these 5:30 a.m. wake-ups and I'm like, oh my God, my nervous system.
I've been getting better. I've had some more sleep-ins.
I'm seeing the 5:30 wake-up while I'm in bed. It's 9:30. I'm like, woo! 2 different paths here.
Oh, I'll get there. A question that we always ask our guests, and it's like our favorite question to ask, but a quote that you live by.
Okay. I always get so much shit for this quote, and I don't know. I think this is a really good quote.
I'm ready.
But a lot of people are like, that doesn't make sense. But it makes so much sense to me.
That's all that matters.
I'm pretty sure it's a Nike quote. I don't know. It's not philosophical. It's not deep. But the quote goes, you do not have to be a champion to become one.
Oh, no,
do I need to explain that?
Explain it for the people who don't, but I love it.
You guys don't get it. It's fine.
I get it.
I don't know. So this quote, I honestly repeat to myself probably once a day, if I'm honest. I always come back to this quote. And I think in my industry, I always see people saying, I can't do Pilates. I'm not good at it. Right. If you don't do Pilates, you won't be good at it.
Yeah.
And so many people, I'm not a runner. Yeah, but you won't be a runner unless you run. Yep. Like, we always see like these people that we aspire to be, like Beyonce, and I can't sing. Do you think Beyonce just came out all of a sudden singing?
And was Beyonce that everyone knows?
No, it takes work. And yes, sure, people are blessed with certain skill sets and talents. Great. But honestly, if you want to be a champion in whatever, you can. You don't have to be one. You don't just all of a sudden become a marathon runner. You have to try to do it. And like, when I feel stupid, or if I feel like, oh my God, I can't do accounting, I'm like, I do not have to be an accountant to become one. Repeat it louder. And that I just feel is something that's so important, because right now everyone's becoming, you can be anything you want. You want to be a dancer? Cool. You want to be a mathematician? Cool. You can be anything. Like, university is almost not a thing anymore. Like, what you want to do, you can do it online. You can figure it out, make it happen.
I really thought you were going to say, just do it.
Girls, no.
I was
imagine. Because you're like, just do it.
Really simple. Like,
no,
I've
you
never
don't
heard
have
that.
to be a champion. Honestly, I don't even know if it's a quote or if I just heard someone say it one time. But I've said that in interviews before, and honestly, I like see the interviewer's soul leave the building because they're like, "What?"
No, I straight away was like, obsessed.
You don't have to be a champion to become one. Like, you don't have to be a singer to become one.
Well, I couldn't cartwheel when I first started acro, and then I became a champion. So
thank you.
I couldn't public speak, and now we have our own podcast. So there we go.
My work here is done.
And wrapping up. So where can people find you? Through social media, through your platforms, anywhere and everywhere?
Hustl. What is it? Hustl._. I was being bad with the socials. And then my Instagram is my name, ALEXZ.XO. Can't we like put this in the caption or something?
Absolutely will.
We'll put it in the caption, team.
Beautiful.
Well, I have absolutely loved this caption. Fuck.
We're melting.
This episode. And I appreciate you taking the time, and there's just so many exciting things for us, and I love this episode so much.
And thank you, girls, so much for having me. You both are doing amazing things, and it's an honor to sit in your presence and have you ask me questions and have us laugh together. I am very proud of both of you. You're both killing it in your own department, so...
I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode for this week, and we will be back in your ears next one. Speak to you then.
Bye.